Hello world, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're tuning into this from. Thanks for watching. I am Chris Sotelo. This is the latest episode of The Vent. It's been a long time. If you notice, I got some new digs, some new surroundings. A lot has gone on since the last time I shot, but we get into that some other time. So today I'm going to start what I'm going to call the Tales of Tinder. And these are basically going to be just my stories and experiences with Tinder dating, online app dating, since I've been paralyzed. And I'm due a couple different videos. They'll probably be short videos of the stories. But they're pretty funny experiences, and I think they need to be shared. So, without further ado, let's dip into the Tinder tales. Okay, so the first one comes, this was probably like 4 years ago, and I had met this girl online. We talked back and forth, text messaged, and everything was cool, and we had actually already been on like 2 or 3 dates. So this date in particular that I am telling the story on, we were already comfortable with each other. In fact, my friend Ricky had come along with us, and he was in the back seat. I can't remember where we went, but I do remember Ricky was in the car because that comes into play a little bit later. So we were returning back to her place to drop her off, and the whole time we were driving back, I noticed her texting and like kind of frantic on the phone, but I didn't ask her who she was texting or what she was talking about. And so we're pulling up to her house, and she looks at me and goes, "Oh shit, he's here." And I'm like, Who's here? What are you talking about? And then she goes on to tell me that her ex-boyfriend has been texting her the whole time, giving her all kinds of shit about being out with me, and that he was outraged and yada yada yada, and that he was waiting outside of her house. And so we're pulling up on her street, and sure enough, I see a car parked in front of her house, just waiting there, and I'm like, "Is that him?" And she's like, "Oh my god, that's him, please just keep going, drive past." So I was like, alright, I'm gonna drive past. And so I drive past this guy, and without a shadow of a doubt, he throws it in drive, and he's coming up behind me. And I'm like, how does this guy know what I'm driving, who I am? What is going on? So I'm driving in this neighborhood, and this guy's following me, and she's kind of freaking out, and I'm more so worried about her protection and how creepy it is that there's, a dude waiting outside of her house while no one else was home. And she's like, "Please lose him." And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's lose this guy. I love driving fast, I love driving crazy, and if I've got any excuse to do so, I'm gonna do it. So I'm just balls out, fast and furious, trying to lose this guy if we're in a neighborhood, so on these residential streets, just going crazy, just making lefts and rights. And it's finally like she's texting this guy at the same time that he's driving us, and then she looks at me kind of shocked and goes, "He says he's gonna beat your ass." And I would look at her like, hold the fuck up. And I hit the brakes. Stop. I was like, I ain't running from nobody to beat my ass. I was running to try to ditch this guy so I could take you home. This guy wants to beat my ass? Bring it on. So I throw the truck in park, and my buddy Ricky's in the back seat, and he heard what the girl had said, and he's like, "I'm gonna beat your ass. He's gonna beat my friend's ass. This is my buddy. This is my paralyzed buddy. Nobody gonna beat his ass. I'll fuck him up. And he's in the back seat trying to get out because I've got the suicide doors on the back that you can only open if the front doors are open. And so Ricky's in the back seat like a fucking mad chihuahua, just trying to get out and get back at this dude who's wanting to beat my ass. And I'm like, I got my window down, and you gotta understand, in my truck, so my truck is set up pretty, it's pretty complicated. So I've got a chest strap that holds me, locks me into the seat, and then my seat rotates out and goes down, and it takes about 5 minutes to get me all the way out of the car. And then my wheelchair is in the bed of my truck, so that thing's on a crane that comes up in the air, lifts out, comes around. It's like a 15-minute ordeal for me to get out of my truck into my wheelchair. But I was down. I was like, I'm gonna get in my wheelchair, I'm gonna choke this guy out, I'm just gonna wrap my arm around his throat and hold on until he's tired and ride it out like a rodeo, and then finally do whatever. I didn't really think it all the way out. I just knew my adrenaline was pumping, and I hadn't felt like that since I was paralyzed. But I remember that adrenaline rush of someone wanting to beat my ass before, and saying that, no, you're not going to beat my ass. I'll go down with a fight. Even if I get my ass beat, that's how it's going to happen. So I pull over, and this guy, he gets out of the car, but he won't come up to my window. And the girl gets out, and she runs over to his car, and she's like, please, just leave us alone, yada, yada, yada. And I'm in the front seat, just like, powering my crane out for my wheelchair, and just like, I'm strapped in, so it's like, I'm just like, yeah, you wanna fight me? You wanna fight me? Bring it on, you little bitch! Come on, bring it, come to my window, I bet you won't. And you don't come to my window, and then I still got Ricky in the backseat screaming same shit, just more like he's got action behind it, because I mean, my adrenaline is running. I don't know what I'm gonna do to fight this guy. I only have a function of like 20% of my body, but all I know is that I just don't, I'm not a victim, and I'm not gonna let this guy say he's gonna whoop my ass for no reason. And so it goes on. Ricky finally makes his way out and gets out there, starts banging on this dude's hood, and the dude gets back in his car, and then he's driving by, and like I've got my crane halfway out, and I'm like wanting to do the transfer, but he's pulling away, and like he pulls away, and he's like, fuck you, bitch. And I was like, fuck me, I did nothing wrong. You're chasing a paralyzed guy in a truck with a bumper sticker that says life's a garden, dig it. You can't, there's a wheelchair in the back. What? Fuck you, man. What's wrong with you? And so that was the end of that little confrontation. That night, I was able to take her home. She went home. Nobody, I don't think, the guy never came back to bother her. But I kind of just buried it, like forgot about that. Her and I actually had dated like a year after that. And it was funny because on Facebook Messenger, you have to like approve someone if they're not your friends to receive messages from them, and I didn't know that. And so not even that long ago, I was looking through the messaging app, and I saw like where it's like your message request, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know this file existed. And so I clicked it, and I go down, and then I see this message, and I open it, and it's from the guy, and he's like, I hope you enjoy my sloppy seconds, you blah 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 dirty bitch. And I was just like, oh my god, this was like 3 years after, so I really desperately wanted to say something back, but I didn't. And it was just a hilarious moment, because it all comes back into play when I'm on another date from Tinder, and I'm at this Mexican restaurant, and we're not even remotely close to the part of Houston where this all went down in the first place, so that's where I was a little baffled. But I'm there, I'm on the date, we're having some Mexican food, and my waiter is actually a buddy of mine that I used to wait tables with at a different restaurant before I was paralyzed. And I was actually, I think this was like a first or second date with the girl I was with at the time, and she well, we're hanging out at the table, and then my buddy, who's the waiter, comes up, and he's like, "Hey, man, one of the other waiters here was asking me. He's like, are you friends with that guy?" And he was like, "Yeah, I grew up with him, yada yada." And then he says that you stole his girlfriend, and I was like, "I stole a what? I'm not a fucking girlfriend stealer. I'm no cradle robber or fucking family breaker up or whatever you want to call it. I that's not my intention. I like to think I'm a pretty nice guy, and I don't go after girls who already are taken. But apparently, this girl was taken, and she was dating me on the side of dating him, which is why he was chasing me, trying to fight me. But I think that's the end of that tale of Tinder swiping. It was just a silly occurrence, and I couldn't believe that some jealous guy wanted to fight me, a quadriplegic. But when the adrenaline is rushing and the situation's there, I totally don't even realize that I'm a quadriplegic. It's just like I'm back to I've got a disabled mind, or I've got an able-bodied mind, but a disabled body that can't match it, and it's like I felt like just like a chihuahua must feel when they're barking so loud, but there's nothing they can do. So all I did was scream my ass off, and if it would have come down to it, I would have probably gotten my ass beat in the middle of the street, but I would have taken it proudly, and it would have been another funny story to tell for you guys here. So I've got plenty of more Tinder tales. It's been a lot of fun online dating as a quadriplegic, but for now I'm gonna wrap up this episode. Not even an episode, this clip, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay good out there, be good to each other, and peace and blessings.